We do have a few players in our lobby confirming that they are ready. We have people counting down from 12, then to 15. Finally, we're going to get down to 3. Clearly, that makes no sense whatsoever, but that's just how it be right now. And 12, 15, 3, and draft. That's how we count here. All right, then. So, is our draft working properly? It does look like it is. So, again, I have some limited information about just what are some hero priorities, picks, and bans priorities for these teams. But again, I'm just basing it on their information from this season. I guess if I really want, I actually could look back into previous seasons. ReGenPhoenix is a team that I'm assuming was around in a previous season. ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. That one I'm not quite as sure about, but I'll tell you a little bit about what I know from this season. Right now, the most played heroes by ParsleySnagRosemary&Line are the Greymane and the Dahaka, with 2 picks each out of a total of 3 games that the 3 maps that the team has played. Whereas our most commonly played heroes for the members of ReGenPhoenix will be Johanna, Vala, and Greymane. So at least right now, it doesn't look like we have any bans that are based on at least what these teams have played so far. Zool at this point is very much just a ban that, regardless of whether or not you know the person on the other team actually plays it, it's just something that people don't want to deal with these days. I've heard people say, oh, it's been nerfed, it's not bugged anymore, it's fine, but yet I still see it very consistently banned out across all divisions, regardless of what the existing play rate is for that hero for the team. Greymane will not take a part in this game, and that's interesting considering it is a prioritized hero for both teams in, again, what little information there is available. But of course, I'm sure there are other things they have up their sleeves. And what will our final ban be of this first ban phase? Really keeping us in suspense with this final ban, and it will be the Johanna ban. That one, I mean, again, if we're talking about what teams play, that is the single most prioritized hero out of ReGenPhoenix, which is why it's surprised to see them ban it themselves. All right, Deckard Cain will be picked up by Linehouse. Linehouse is another one. Has he played like in Division S or something, or am I don't know, probably just caught it in like Division 1 cast on Bahamut's channel, and then I just conflated the two. Maybe not. Div 1, Div S. Not exactly the same thing, but not too far off. Okay, will be the Rhaegar. I was going to mix the name of both the hero and the player together. Areia, as we will have, so Areia will be picking up Rhaegar. Sylvanas picked up by RabidPenguin. Sylvanas is someone who I do personally like her as... I feel like a hero whose priority I feel should have shifted into her favor with the recent batch of tower and fort changes. So I do like to see her picked up. Winterharte will be on the Rainer, and the Garrosh will be picked up by Snaginanehs. Okay, let's try it slowly. Snaginanehs. We're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with that. You know, just carefully sounding it out. For those of you who don't know, because most of you don't actually know that much about me, but I'm actually a certified elementary school teacher. Obviously not working in one at the moment. COVID has kind of put me out of work in that regard. But let's take a look and see what this first ban will be out of the secondary ban phase. Will be the Rexxar. I do feel that is a strong ban, Rexxar, with just how strong he can be in the solo lane in dueling situations where you have to hold a point, such as that shrine on top. I do think whichever team picks up Rexxar is in a very strong situation, and then the team that doesn't pick up Rexxar is in the difficult situation of conceding the top shrine most of the time and finding themselves having to decide when they will actually try to rotate up for a gank on Rexxar. At least Rexxar, I don't feel he is the most gank resistant of the solo laners. Certainly Rexxar himself, not including the Misha, is very, very vulnerable. But we're going to see more of the focus on... In fact, we very much have a bruiser choke. 4 bruisers occupy... 4 out of 6 of our ban slots have been taken up by bruisers. The Zool, the Yrel, the we'll just say the Zul again for some reason, the Rexar, and the Sonya. So our options for solo laners are pretty limited. The Urel also something that is strong on this map because of her ability to control both the wave and the shrines by jumping back and forth between them with Avenging Wrath. Now, we've already seen the Falstad and the ETC picked up, things that I didn't comment on. And it's going to be the Leoric and the Maiev picked up on the other side. I like the Leoric as, you know, just given that we already have the choke on the solo laners, I feel like Leoric is a relatively neutral pick. In fact, I think he does win a few solo lane matchups. So what is this final pickup for Snazzy? Obviously has to be a bruiser. They did leave that spot open so that they could have that final counter pick. And also having the Falstad gives them the flexibility that they actually could put Falstad in the solo lane if they like that solo lane matchup better. And with what they have right now, I'm almost tempted to say I would like to see the Falstad against the Leoric rather than the Thrall. A little bit surprised to see the Thrall there. I was wondering if we might see the Malthael. At least in terms of, I certainly think Malthael actually very much has it in him to body Leoric in the solo lane, at least if you can kind of juke out those Drain Hopes, especially if you use Wraith Strike for that. Alright, we've got our draft in for Game 1. And as I take a look at these drafts, at the moment I am personally preferring the draft out of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. I do like the Leoric in that solo lane better than the Thrall. Again, though at least members of ReGenPhoenix have the flexibility of do they want to actually put Falstad there instead of Thrall. Again, that's just a possibility because Thrall can also work in the 4-man. Although I don't think, even if they do that, I don't think Falstad can really hold the Shrine against Leoric. I think he would eventually have to get out of there. But let's move on into our game. We are here. We're going to start out with the blue team, the members of ReGenPhoenix. We're going to have Aero on ETC, RabidPenguin on Sylvanas, Daribow, that's my best approximation of the name, on Falstad, Snazzy on Thrall, and Areia will be on the Rhaegar, the Areia. Meanwhile, the red team, we will have Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. We're going to do that every single time. ProfBobo, or maybe Professor Bobo, is on... Oh, looks like he's actually on the Rainer right now. Looks like there was a switch there in the draft. Winterharte will be... Can't see on the Maiev. No. Snaginanehs on the Garrosh. Crow on the Leoric. And Winterharte on the Maiev. I don't know if I missed someone there. Let's just say Linehouse on the Deckard. I think I did miss Linehouse. All right, then. So, members of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line electing to not really take part in any sort of mid-fight. They don't have any stacks they need to get. Aero just hanging out here. In fact, we have both of our main tanks looking to pick up someone. Aero does decide to power slide through just to kind of be safe there, make sure that no one does end up getting picked up by Snaginanehs. So, meanwhile, Thrall also hiding out in the bush. Thrall... I mean, certainly has the sustain to work in the solo lane. We even see the Rolling Thunder, or as Kaldar likes to call it, the Trolling Thunder, perhaps not quite believing in this talent. Although this talent does strike me, interestingly, as a solo lane talent because of you get the mana regeneration on it as well. Unless I'm potatoing on it. No, it's actually been changed a bit. Oh, no, yeah, it's been changed quite a bit since the last time I checked. But either way... Let's excuse, or let's try to distract from my lack of knowledge about changes to Thrall's level 1 talents, and let's focus instead on the pickup of the the Siege Camp right here by the members of ReGenPhoenix. However, we do have Rainer from Professor Bobo. It's easier for me to say Professor Bobo than ProfBobo. Does manage to pick up the bottom shrine. Thrall is hanging around here. Now he's in a rough position. Does he want to pick up the shrine? I feel like at this point, they're kind of dancing around here. I feel like either clear the waves or get the shrine. What are we going to do here? So let's actually take a look at the Bruiser Camp being picked up by both sides. We've got our healer and one of our damage dealers picking it up on this side. Just like it is on the other side, that just strikes me as kind of the standard of how you do want to pick up those camps. And that's something that is certainly at Division A level. I think of the standard as healer and a damage dealer on those early camps. And at the Division A level, I expect that as being fairly standard. It's not something that you see quite as cleanly at the Division D and E level, maybe even sometimes at Division C. But, so I just like to see that. Aero's in a potentially tough position. Does he get out of there? Just barely manages to escape from the Scroll of Sealing with that power slide. But his team, at the moment, does not have control of the Shrine. So Winterharte going to be fanning those knives, just for doing it just for Kratz-a-lot in our chat. Bruiser Camp will be pushing down. Areia needs to be committed. Now, the problem, Areia's in the top. Rotating Areia, rotating the healer to the top means the 4-man down in the bottom in the middle lacks their healer at the moment. So I don't quite like that rotation, and I think that puts them in a really tough position. And especially if they are rotating Areia to the top, they can't afford to ever let Crow get this really for any reason, because it's guaranteed that the 4-man for ReGenPhoenix has absolutely no chance of capturing the bottom shrine. So Snazzy going to be rotating back to the bottom, but Leoric will just Wraithwalk out of there. And he will focus on clearing the waves. I gotta say personally that I think Leoric wins this pretty handily, at least in my Division C-ish level opinion. He certainly has the far better end of wave clear, and he can more easily rotate between the shrine than Thrall can. And we see Winterharte here, putting himself in a position where he's looking for the gank on Thrall, but Snazzy is being pretty careful, but it does eventually mean that he will be giving this up, and the members of ReGenPhoenix taking advantage of the fact that they don't see Maiev anywhere, and they only see 3 in the bottom to actually just take positioning on the bottom shrine. So only 1 kill in our game yet. I believe it was a kill on Snazzy. Snazzy just having a rough time of it, directly head-to-head trying to duel Leoric, and Winterharte's over here, even though Crow seems to be doing well in the duel, Winterharte seems to be rotating around, want to see if they can actually complete a kill on Snazzy. Meanwhile, RabidPenguin and Areia, I'm actually calling him him or her Areia. Oh, we've got 4. Daribow will go down here to capture it up a little bit faster. It did get Wingman. Aero's by himself, though. Unfortunately, I think that was a little bit of a mistake there. Aero's pretty lucky to get out of there alive. They committed 3 heroes to taking that bottom shrine, or rather the bottom bruiser camp, and Aero almost paid for it with his life. Luckily, it does kind of work out in their favor, but at the moment, of course, the objective itself on Dragonshire proving to be very inconclusive with the way things are currently set up. We've got our solo lane matchup again. Crow will put the Drain Life on Snazzy, but of course Snazzy looking to see if he can restore some of his health with the Frostwolf Resilience from Thrall. And Crow does manage to move out of there in time, seeing that Daribow was flying there to just support. So Areia is providing those heals, but Aero has been pulled by Maiev. Unstoppable does go on him, but it won't be enough to save him, and that will be a kill onto Aero. So let's see if the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Actually, I'm really starting to enjoy that name. Ooh, Snaginanehs looking... I'm messing up his name, though. Snaginanehs messes up RabidPenguin, but RabidPenguin does manage to time his Haunting Wave just perfectly so that he does manage to escape out of there. Was a nice setup, but nice discipline from our Maiev player, RabidPenguin, which is also a very interesting name. Does Winterharte pick this up? Okay, he is being interrupted by Daribow, but how much longer can Daribow interrupt it? Turns out he can't interrupt it much longer at all. So first Dragonite will be picked up by ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Dragonite slowly rotating, clearing out the waves. I guess wants the wave to push with him. However, they are charging in. Does knock back 1 member of ReGenPhoenix. A lot of damage being put onto the Dragonite right here. It is at about 80% of its hit points, though. But it does look like we will minimally see the keep front wall. Just kidding, I'm at the fort front wall. Taken down by the members. Oh, and we might even see a kill on Aero. Does he have a power slide? I think he does, and he'll be just fine. Ooh, I think Linehouse attempted a stay... Yes, he indeed attempted a stay a while and listen there, but it was interrupted. My best guess, probably just a face melt from Aero. But I'm a little concerned about the fact that we have a 5-man defense here. 5-man defense when they are behind in experience, about a full level. I think, yeah, it's just about a full level. Whereas we have Leoric, just because he's Leoric, he has that full double soaking potential. Clearing the waves with Neil Peasants at level 4. Easy rotations between, well, would be easier to rotate between top and bottom, but he still can rotate, just because he clears so fast. He can clear even just top and middle. Did I say top and bottom? I meant middle and bottom. Aero, I'm not sure about that power slide. Anyway, at first I was going to say, I don't know, maybe he's just trying to get the Echo Pedal value, but He actually went for Face Melt instead. Sorry, I meant Pinball Wizard. Of course, that is a Face Melt talent. And we're going to look and see if they are going to attempt an invade right here. Certainly, their positioning was looking like they were going to attempt some kind of invade, but definitely a little too slow. The only one who could have quickly gone over there to do the invade was the Falstad, but I think the Falstad probably also a little bit too risky to just barrel roll in like that without anyone else going along with him. We don't see a Crowd Surfer ETC either, so he couldn't have done that, and I don't think he was even there at that time. And thank God we don't have a Crowd Surfer ETC. Who picks that stuff, really? So definitely some light advantages for the members of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. However, here is the rotation. Crow has already used Wraithwalk. Daribow is, well, not teleporting, but... Oh! We have the... Actually managing to kill Maev. A gust right into the wall. I actually like that play. I almost forgot that we are at level 10s, and I think they will take Crow out as well. Just barely. He's regenerating his health points from the Drain Life. Now, on the other side of the map, it did look like ETC ended up going down as well. I kind of like that gank, actually managing to get both of them, but it does look like they're also giving up quite a lot. Obviously, the members of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line kind of noticing that many members of ReGenPhoenix had been committed to the top lane, so they took advantage of that time to really push down the bottom. Push down the bottom fort, and it's at about 25-ish% of its hit points. All right, Snaginanehs here, I think gets scouted out a little bit by the slowing totem. This is a 5-man rotation. Aero's going to be looking for kills, but a perfectly timed Indomitable for Snaginanehs. Keeps him unstunned, even throws out Aero after the power slide. So, again, this is a 5-man rotation right here. Okay, it does look like Snazzy will be rotating out after the failed attempt to get a kill on Garrosh right there. Snaginanehs hiding around in these bushes. See if he can pick up something. Aero, meanwhile, also hidden from vision. Does get the power slide on Snaginanehs. But Snaginanehs, he does actually throw... Oh my god, the taunt actually works out so well, and I don't know if Aero lives here. I did not see that rotation from Winterharte coming down to finish off the kill. It looked like Aero was going to be fine, but now Daribow's in trouble as well. But Winterharte's also being pretty bold here. Solo and hit points. Wailing Arrow attempting to finish off Winterharte is unsuccessful. I think that was very well played by the members of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. The problem with ETC trying to get those engages is that he was so close to the towers of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. So after he burned the power slide, Garrosh was able to just throw him over. He knew ETC had no escape, and it was actually made worse. The taunt was actually used so effectively by Snaginanehs, where he actually used it to further pull Aero into the towers. I feel it's a little-known thing. Wow, I can't believe that wasn't interrupted. Just a little-known thing that if you taunt someone and then walk away from them, that target will actually start moving, continue to move toward you. And oh no, maybe he should have gone Crowd Surfer. Aero finds himself in a rough position, gets entombed. His only escape is toward the entire enemy team, and ultimately it proves to be exactly the trap that they were trying to set up, perhaps. So Dragonite is still quite healthy, 80%. Looking to burn down those towers, trying to position itself in a way so that it's only targeted by one of the towers and not both of them. I don't know. I don't know if it's just another part of the changes to the way towers work, but it seems like it's almost just a little bit harder to make sure that you only get targeted by one of the towers and not both of them. Could just be a mental thing. I could be totally wrong. But just more and more when I see players with Dragon Knights attempting to position away so they only get... Oh, but let's take a look right here. Warden's Cage does go down, but so does the Gust. Aero is taunted, but I think this will be a clean disengage. Okay, no deaths on either side. 16s will be coming in for the members of ReGenPhoenix. Okay, here's the re-engage attempt. Aero once again finds himself caught into Entomb, does decide to hit the mosh pit, but the kills are coming in. They will actually be first on Maev, then on ETC. Who goes down next? I think it's going to be Daribow, or could it be Linehouse? No kills just yet. Crow is now the lowest one, and he's just barely not caught by the Feral Spirit, but Raynor will not be so lucky, and in fact, Leoric will go down as well. Easy invade with that wingman after picking up those 3 kills. Certainly, I think what the members of ReGenPhoenix needed to start coming back into this game. They'll be getting some good push in this bottom lane. Fort front wall will go down for sure. I think there's a reasonable chance they even see... I think they're going to see how much they can get here. They do have the Sylvanas. So if they get that trait value, how much more can they get? So it doesn't look like Sylvanas trait was used. Maybe I missed it, but it looks like they're just gonna try to finish this fort anyway. It does get pretty close, but they're starting to back up, not wanting to find themselves. Here's Winterharte back alive there, looking to get the engage with the tether. Okay, another gust thrown out from Daribow, certainly proving to be a very important part of just how things are working for the members of ReGenPhoenix, getting those important disengages when things are looking a little hairy with that incredibly hard engage potential coming out of the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Of course, they've got the Entomb, they've got the Garrosh. I like it when we have to say hard engage. We don't even talk about Garrosh's ult. We just have to say Garrosh by himself. We've got the Warden's Cage from the Maiev. All things designed to trap the members of ReGenPhoenix. Meanwhile, Aero is on an island. Why is he all here by himself? Luckily, he does have Power Slide, but it's literally 5 against 1. He does manage to face melt people out. There is no Ancestral available because this is a Bloodlust Rhaegar. Unfortunately, there's not really any chance to engage as 5 with that Bloodlust, and when you already have Aero on ETC down to about 10 to 15% of his health, the Bloodlust there, a little bit risky, so Bloodlust obviously just not used at all, whereas something like a Ancestral Healing could have potentially kept ETC alive. Now, of course, I do know that there were some recent changes to Bloodlust. With those recent changes, we are more often seeing Bloodlust picked just unironically and very seriously. So Professor Bobo and Snaginanehs looking to push this down, as well as Linehouse, not to be left out. While we do have Winterharte, who's often rotating up to this top lane, but it is going to be a 2v2 at the moment. Snazzy and Daribow up against Crow and Winterharte. And, just with this push in the bottom lane, 2 dead from the members of ReGenPhoenix and level 20 talent tier against them. There won't be any way for them to actually contest this Dragonite. So this will be yet another Dragonite going over to the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. All right. Sorry, I was just checking a thing with the, just with Twitch. I think there's just a slight bug in Twitch where it said I have 0 viewers, which I feel like is not true. But anyway, let's take a look at this push right here. The Hyperion will be committed. Keep being gone will be a foregone conclusion. Now it's just a matter of the members of ReGenPhoenix holding on, not dropping any hero deaths. We don't want to see that happen. And I think at this point, yeah, I think we will just see the Dragonite moving out of there. Well, it looks like they're still kind of engaging with it. Maybe they will be looking for the re-engage. Crow is definitely looking for an Entomb here, 100%. But he will be gusted away. Yeah, I think the play was to look for the Entomb from Crow. He did indeed get buried alive. What else would he get? I mean, funny thing is, I actually feel like a lot of the talents at level 20 are quite strong for Leoric. But the problem is that many of them compete with Buried Alive. So it's hard to pick the other talents, as good as some of the other Leoric level 20 talents are when you have to compete with Buried Alive. All right, but level 20 talent tier will come in for the members of ReGenPhoenix. Aero, I feel like, needs to be super careful here. Yeah, I mean, of course, he is a tank. He is ETC. He is supposed to be the one who is leading the way, scouting those bushes, although he doesn't have the greatest tools for checking bushes. But he also does just need to be careful between the Buried Alive, the Garrosh. The members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line definitely have what it takes to kill a cow. You're right, the well wasn't killed. A little bit surprising to see that. Okay, Snaginanehs does manage to get the throw on Aero. Oh no! A complete miss on the Wailing Arrow. A Deathmash comes in after Aero is taken out. And the Wind Tunnel will be used for the disengage. Rather unfortunate at this time. I did see that wind tunnel picked up. While I was droning on about Leoric level 20, the Buried Alive was really something. Like, if I had to think, what are the tools that ReGenPhoenix has to really turn this around? I really thought of Daribow with that wind tunnel. Wind tunnel, of course, very powerful as a disengage, but also just very powerful late game as a way of even just engaging. That's a very, very hard engage. Okay, we will see the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line just going for the core. And this is also a time when it's actually really, really unfortunate that the wind tunnel has already been burned out for Daribow. Luckily, Daribow is able to get a heal from the fountain here, and they will be able to scare the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line off of their core. So we will have a new Dragon Knight phase. Slight advantage, I guess I'd say, to the members of ReGenPhoenix, since they will it for the moment. Winterharte is kind of caught out. Of course, he is Maiev, does have a lot of survivability mechanics, but clearly not enough. And that's exactly the pick that they needed. I mean, they already had an advantage, given the fact that Leoric was dead and still needed to resurrect or revive or just respawn. They'll take advantage of this time to get an invade on the Bruiser camp, and there's really not a whole lot that the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line can do about that. So with this, they should at least be able to pick up the... And I think the kill on Maiev is actually so incredibly important, because I think this... They really needed a staggered death just at this time. Crow will be back alive. Oh, no, he's actually giving it up. I was going to say, where is any... Okay, they're going to need to actually commit to doing this. Oh, Crow throws down the Entomb. He also does Wraithwalk out of there, but I don't know if he makes it alive. The deaths, we're going to continually seeing staggered deaths from the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. And this is exactly what the members of ReGenPhoenix need to come back into this game. So I imagine we will see this. I was going to say, I thought we'd see this Dragon Knight walk down to the bottom lane, but it looks like they want to carve a path through the middle lane. Get the towers. I guess they're just right here. I would still think of the bottom lane as being more important. But for the moment they're committed to this, it is still a 5v4. The wind tunnel comes in. Unfortunately, that was not the wind tunnel that they were looking for. It only caught Garrosh, but Garrosh is eventually caught in the mosh pit, and he will be taken out. The wind tunnel wasn't what did it, but the wind tunnel did clear the way for the mosh pit. And they are getting all of the staggered deaths that they need. Winterharte is in there. It does manage to Spirit of Vengeance on out of there. Okay, Dragon Knight is there. He is very low on health, though, at this point. Okay, ETC is caught in the mosh pit. Is there enough damage there? Okay, he will be cleansed out, but Winterharte is looking to come in with another tether. Re-engage potential coming in. Oh, do we have Earthen Shields? We do have Earthen Shields. Such a powerful level 20 coming out of the members of ReGenPhoenix, specifically Snazzy on that Thrall. Now, in the time that this happened, they did give up some permanent core damage by not defending the bottom lane. Of course, I mean, I guess technically they would have given up some of that permanent core damage even if they had gone to the bottom lane. But in the long run, I still... Yeah, I'm going to say I actually don't like the decision to go for that middle fort. I really think it would have been a better choice to take that Dragon Knight down to the bot lane and destroy the keep and even out the pressure in the bottom lane where their core is exposed. So that's my personal preference. I do think I have the better end of things there. Of course, I'm not the one actually playing. Snazzy is in such a bad position, though. Does he have his ultimate or his heroic? He doesn't. But the wind tunnel is actually just so strong, but they need to convert it into a kill. Snaginanehs is not down. Instead, it will be ETC, but there is the Death Mosh, and that's exactly what they need that time. ETC being killed first is actually exactly what they needed. Daribow seeing what he can get on ProfBobo, but I don't think it will be enough. Where are they going? Oh, they're going through the middle because they actually just won the game. They did. They did it. Oh my god, what a turnaround. It actually, like, although this game didn't feel super uneven, to me, it personally felt that ParsleySnagRosemary&Line was in the driver's seat for most of this game. There were actually so many times when Aero was kind of caught out and picked first, but then the very last time it happened, it was actually something that won them the game with the death metal. Some of the best death metal value that I have seen in Amateur Heroes of Lounge. GG in favor of the members of ReGenPhoenix. Now, aside from the fact that does put them up 1-0 in this series, it is also actually their very first map win in NGS for this season. So it's a very oh, and the funny thing is, like, look at the stats. Aero had 8 deaths. And I mean, it's a shame because clearly him getting picked off for so much of the game was it had, like, if you have 8 deaths, it's part of the problem. Like, it is. But just that one last time, that was actually the one last time when ETC actually needed to die, and it actually delivered them the game. Certainly a very, very smart choice by Aero, getting the death medal, recognizing that he was kind of feeding, and that he could turn his weakness of feeding into his advantage. All right. But it's finally time for our draft. We are here. Members of ReGenPhoenix will be leading this series at 1-0, much to, honestly, kind of to my surprise. So we'll see what the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line can do to bring this series back. And I would say personally, I personally feel that I don't think it's certainly very, very much in the realm of possibility that ParsleySnagRosemary&Line could take this series. I think they just need to clean up some of their late game decision making sure that people aren't getting caught out. But a lot of that also does depend on a lot of those high impact level 20 heroics, which we have seen from both teams. A lot of them just had those very game changing level 20 heroic choices. ETC will be banned out by the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. I'm actually pretty surprised to see that banned out. So we are going to have a few respect bans here, banning out some heroes that were just played in the very last match. The Deckard band, Linehouse will not be able to play Deckard. Aero will not be able to play ETC. I'm a little bit surprised about the ETC ban. And I mean, you could argue it like both ways, where on the one hand, Aero died 8 times. So you could see it as like, I don't know, like, he kind of fed on that. Like, do you really want to ban that out? And yet at the same time, once he got to level 20, that was actually the time when feeding became the win condition. So I guess they don't want to risk the possibility that if they let the game go all the way to 20, Aero will be able to secure the game in their favor with a death medal. Uriel will be taken out yet again. So last map I had kind of pointed out that was kind of something that was specifically strong on Dragonshire, but here it might also just be something that could be played by Crow. Could just be a preferred hero since we've seen it banned out twice now. Okay, first pick's going to come in for the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. I'm actually loving that name. Greymane will be picked up, so it's a highly prioritized hero by both teams. Good hero for, I mean, it's a good all-around hero for many different purposes. Damage in team fights, setting up big burst damage kills, macro control by getting the mercenaries all by himself. And obviously he can secure the siege camp really easily by himself. If you have the mechanics, I suppose you can just get the bruiser camp by yourself too. And it's going to be the Garrosh as well as the Sylvanas picked up. So the Sylvanas picked up by RabidPenguin yet again. That on this particular map, it does strike me a little bit stranger to see the Sylvanas, since the Sylvanas doesn't really have the synergy with the objectives that she would on other maps. In fact, she doesn't really help the objective that much at all. So it might just be the Sylvanas pickup as a comfort pick. Although, now that we see the Sylvanas again, I do kind of have to call out, I do feel that the wailing arrows by RabidPenguin last game were definitely a little bit on the questionable side, so I'd like to see him step it up in that regard. But I'm also looking at what the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line are setting up for. We're going to see the Rhaegar picked again. So it's probably going to be a Bloodlust Rhaegar again, given the recent changes to Bloodlust. Also the fact that they have the Greymane, so they're already kind of setting up for that synergy with the Bloodlust composition. I wonder what else we will see out of the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line to try to synergize with that. I think that's a very, very good ban to ban the Falstad, aside from the fact that, you know, this is a big map and it is something where Falstad can generally get value. I think it was also something that I think Daribow did very well on last game, and if anything, I'm kind of upset that ReGenPhoenix didn't use one of their 1-2 picks on the Falstad for Daribow, and instead using it on the Sylvanas or the Garrosh. I think the Sylvanas was something that probably would not have been banned out, and probably they could have picked up in the 3-4 spot. Thrall going to be picked up again by Snazzy, and that Thrall pickup again. Thrall is something. I mean, of course, yes, he's a solo laner, but he can also be played as a damage dealer. We still have that flexibility, but since it is Snazzy playing it, that probably is just going to be the solo laner. And, well, if anything, I like the Thrall better on this map than I did on the last one. I actually feel the Thrall was, in some cases, a bit of a problem on the last map, where I think it had trouble with the Leoric in the solo lane. And it will indeed be the Dahaka picked up by Crow, as well as the Hanzo from Winterharte. And I think the Thrall, certainly in the early and mid-game, I think the Thrall did not do particularly well against the Leoric. And of course, he was also often facing the pressure from Winterharte's rotation on the Maiev. I think a lot of the value came from the Thrall just came in the fact that they were able to survive until the late game, and then the Earthen Shields from Thrall, which just were, I mean, that's just such a great level 20 talent tier to have, or level 20 talent to have. Will be the Rainer picked up by Daribow, so those will be our final pickups. And as I just try to think here, which one of these drafts would I favor this time? I'm going to personally go, I think I would still favor the draft of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. I'm seeing a lot of hard engage potential, a lot of burst potential, a lot of pick potential out of their draft. And especially if they kind of like just roll their faces on their keyboard and just press R, I think they can win a lot of engagements that way. You could argue that it would also be on the other side, because we do have things like the Wailing Arrow coming out. But I just think there's a lot of synergy potential between things like the Blessed Shield, the Dragon Arrow, etc. And we'll talk more about that. Let's actually get into our game right here as we get into game number 2. I'm pressing the wrong buttons right here, and I'm messing some things up. Okay, now I've got the right buttons, just in the wrong order, and we are here on Cursed Hollow, members of ReGenPhoenix leading 1-0 in this series. Their first map win in NGS this season. Snazzy will be on the Thrall again. Daribow on the Rainer. Aero will now be playing the Garrosh. RabidPenguin on the Sylvanas. Areia will be playing Anduin. Meanwhile, on the red team, we're going to have the members of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. Snaginanehs will be playing Johanna. ProfBobo on the Grey Mane. Winterharte this time on the Hanzo. Crow will be playing Dahaka, and Linehouse on the Rhaegar. And I wanted to try to finish that up because I knew this was coming. I saw the rotation, the way they were not going to the middle. They have the Sylvanas. They get that easy tower cheese at the start. They didn't even have Aero there because they wanted him to kind of anchor to catch the rotations, and that is a pretty nice tower cheese at the start. They do complete the tower. No, they don't get any hero kills in return. The rotation was just a little bit too slow out of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. Slight experience, though. Slight experience lead for Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line, which was actually going in the other direction before I could even fully finish that sentence. All right, then. Oh, wow. All right, so we're going to be picking up Daribow, literally waiting for this camp to spawn, and he's going to be right here. We do have an Exterminator Rainer, so he's going to be... I mean, it's interesting ever since, you know, the nerfs overall to Ace in the Hole. Obviously now Exterminator is something that's quite a bit more standard. And you can even think of Rainer as actually having quite a bit of that macro pressure that something like a Greymane would. Are they actually going to be attempting an invade on the Bruiser camp? They are. Okay. Very nice to see that. Understanding that timing, I think this will be a successful invade, but we are going to see some other people moving in here. ProfBobo is low. The throw, he held the throw for so long. And he does actually manage to throw, once ProfBobo was trying to get out of there, Aero with that invade does manage to throw him back in, throw him into the fray. And of course, as our chat has noted, we do have a Redemption Hanzo. I personally really liked Redemption. The words are just not come tonight. I personally really liked Redemption when Hanzo was first released. Of course, those of you who remember, when Hanzo was first released, he had 7.5 basic attack range, which is absolutely ludicrous. Oh, man. I mean, of course, and certainly when he had 7.5 basic attack range, then Redemption was actually quite a good choice, although you still saw people go the other level 1 talents, even when Hanzo had 7.5 basic attack range. So these days, obviously, with Hanzo only have 6.5 basic attack range. Still quite long. Quite a bit more surprising when you do actually see someone get Redemption on Hanzo. Of course, just the big question mark here is kind of like, how often will he be able to maintain full stacks on that Redemption Hanzo? First, he even needs to just get the full stacks, which he doesn't have yet. So anyway, Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line currently behind in the experience, a little bit slow in also getting to the objective. Winterharte will try to stall it, but I'm a little bit concerned about him being by himself here. We did have a throw by Aero. Aero now starting to take some poke damage from that Hanzo. Aero taking more poke damage. Snaginanehs does activate the Unstoppable on that Iron Skin before he does get thrown in. Tries to re-engage. Linehouse is thrown in, though. Linehouse looking like he's going to go down. Unfortunately, Dahaka coming in just too late. Snaginanehs is pretty low as well. Winterharte really does not want to die here. Otherwise, he's going to give up that. He's going to give up those redemption stacks. Well, not all of them, but you know, some of them. Yeah, oh, Winterharte. Snaginanehs goes down as well. Winterharte, get out of here. I'm almost treating Winterharte at this moment as if he's like a Medivh who needs to get his Arcane Rift stacks. I needed to think about the name of that ability for a second. And clearly things are not quite that dire for him, but still, just as our chat has pointed out, the Redemption Hanzo, kind of almost seeing it as a mild meme at the moment. I'm really just going to be paying attention here. Like, I'm scared right here. The fact that there are two people from the members of ReGenPhoenix, and Winterharte is alone right here. I'm like, oh no, don't get killed, Winterharte. All right, we are going to see the siege camp picked up by Bobo. On the opposite side, Daribow doing the exact same thing with that Exterminator Rainer. I mean, man, now that Exterminator is pretty standard on Rainer, to me, if anything, it almost makes me feel like Greymane is even more obsolete. I mean, I do know that he's still being regularly played, that he's still strong in many ways. He's actually one of my favorite hero, and I love him. But just the fact that Rainer now actually has a lot of the macro pressure that Greymane also has, along with some of the other advantages that Rainer has over him, does make me feel like, man, why pick Greymane when you could pick Rainer? I'm sure there are other reasons, but I don't know. It's just some feelings that I'm having about it. Anyway, we are going to see. I don't know if they get the interrupt here. Okay, we do have the shield glare committed, but that does also mean Snaginanehs is here, kind of cut off from the rest of his team. And I guess that... Oh, no! Way too late by Crow. Oh, no. I'm not sure what's going on down here. I mean, at first I thought, like, I guess they're going to try to poke this out. Then I thought maybe they're not actually wanting to take the objective and they're just going to let Crow push in the bottom. But then eventually Crow finally did burrow in, but he burrowed in too late. I mean, luckily he didn't get killed for it, but it does feel like there's some miscommunication going on the side of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line, and they're just kind of on the ropes here. They're down one game in this series. They do need to win this game if they do want to force a third. Okay, bosses will be taken by both teams. Taken rather quickly, as we do have both a Hanzo as well as a Rainer just on each side. Of course, the Greymane as well, committing a huge amount of damage. So we do see the boss picked up by Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line first.
Shall we see who gathers enough tribute this time?
Okay, and with this timing of the tribute as well as the levels, oh, but the boss push for the members of ReGenPhoenix, honestly, I feel like it's going to be so much stronger with the combination of the Sylvanas trait value as well. Let's just start calling it Black Arrows, as well as the Hyperion. I mean, that boss took nearly no damage. Okay, so Crow is trying to do a little bit of the same thing. It should take out the fort, but I don't think it will be quite as strong as the one from ReGenPhoenix. Oh no! Crow, is he here? Okay, Crow does come here, and finally the members of Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line do get the kill. And I think they needed that kill very, very badly. I think they really, really needed that, especially with this boss actually still pushing. Yeah, I mean, if this boss... I mean, look, this boss is going to get permanent keep damage. If ParsleySnagRosemary&Line had actually lost that tribute, it would have been a curse against them. They probably would have literally lost the keep. As it is, they're still going to take... I mean, it's down to about 75%. It's going to take a little bit more damage, even from the minions. Look at all of this stuff that Professor Bobo needs to clear. It's going to go down to about half of its hit points. So, man, it's weird. Like, because last game, I kind of gassed up ParsleySnagRosemary&Line as the potential favorites, and I felt like for most of the game, they played that way until, like, the last 5 or so minutes. But this game, it really does feel like ReGenPhoenix is kind of ahead of the curve here. So Snaginanehs will be hiding around in that bush, however, seeing who he can pick up. Aero, though, does scout it out. Will throw in Snaginanehs. Does manage to get the taunt. Okay, eventually, Snaginanehs, does he go down? That might be a kill on Snaginanehs. And once again, we have Crow far too late. Oh, no. Oh, Snazzy is thrown in. Winterharte is going to lose the redemption stacks. Oh, no. A Hanzo dream is dead. At least until he gets 3 more stacks. All right, that will be the tribute picked up. Certainly, forts. Okay, top fort might not be taken anytime soon, but middle fort is absolutely gone. If anything, they got to start worrying about the keep in the middle. Okay, Crow is thrown in. Oh, no! Crow is also silenced by that Wailing Arrow. This is a disaster for the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. They're down 13 talents here. They've got a 5-man push in the middle, but Snazzy is so low. Okay, we're gonna see the Bloodlust committed. Taunt is also committed as well, just as a way of slowing down Linehouse and Winterharte. Linehouse will be thrown out of there, and that will be a successful disengage. Yeah, unfortunately, that Bloodlust was... I don't think that was ever going to achieve much, especially as long as there was the Earthquake from Thrall. Pretty easy disengage, I think. Oh, Wailing Arrow goes in, though. Blessed Shiro... Blessed what? Blessed Arrow. Blessed Shield. That's what it is. Goes in after that. Can't speak English right now. They will pick up the kill on Aero. Can they get RabidPenguin? Snazzy, actually, I think, is the best target. He will be silenced, but he will also be pulled out. But I don't know if that'll be enough. He's still getting shot at by Greymane. Okay, I think they managed to disengage with that. So at least they get the kill there. They do kind of stabilize. But it's certainly being pretty rough for them. So we're definitely seeing RabidPenguin definitely stepping up to the plate. Better Wailing Arrows, better combinations just with his teammates there, helping to secure that kill on the Dahaka. Meanwhile, I mean, I do, of course, hate to... I don't come here to... Although I will definitely point out mistakes that players make, I understand that probably, certainly if we're in Division A, there's absolutely 100% of these players are going to be way better than me. But I am just going to point out that, yeah, clearly at this time, a lot of the misplays from the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line have been on Crow. Okay, ParsleySnagRosemary&Line will pick up the kill there as well as the camp. So that was a rather unfortunate invade attempt by the members of ReGenPhoenix. So, if anything, it almost seems like the momentum of this game is kind of going the opposite of the way that it happened in the last game. Where last game, it felt like ParsleySnagRosemary&Line were playing so well for the early game and the mid game. And then ReGenPhoenix took control over it in the late game. Here it seems like we had the... Here it seems like ReGenPhoenix starting out so strong in the early game, but ParsleySnagRosemary&Line now starting to stabilize and starting to make a comeback. Especially, I mean, if we think about this, although it's old news, ReGenPhoenix lost a 5v4. They invaded with 5 against 4. Crow was not there, and they lost. I think some of that, I'm actually not sure. The engagement is too far gone for me to remember the specific details. Obviously, it was Aero on that Garrosh going down first. But, I mean, I just want to reiterate. They lost a 5v4. Okay, now they're here. They're at this objective. They don't have 16 talent here. Ult advantage is roughly even. 5 for the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Only 4 for ReGenPhoenix, but they're going to get in. They're going to have 5 soon. Okay, it doesn't look like they're actually going to bother with the objective, and I think that's the right choice. They don't have 16 talent here. It's not a curse point, but the next one will be curse point. The chastise on the camp doesn't actually do damage to mercenaries. I don't know if maybe that was just for vision, but it just seems kind of funny. All right, at the very least, we do see 16 talent here picked up by the members of ReGenPhoenix. Okay, boss was started, but I think they recognize, both teams kind of recognize what's going on, so it's kind of, oh, Crow, though, potentially in a bad position. Dragon Arrow goes out. Aero's actually so low. Does he get out of here alive? He gets pulled in by the Condemn. He's just barely getting the heals that he needs from Areia. Aero's going back in. I don't think he should go back in. Unless they can trade out some kills here. They might be able to. Professor Bobo goes in too deep, but someone else does get picked up as well. I wasn't sure. I missed it. Okay, Snazzy might go down as well. It's a bloodbath on both sides. Maybe even a bloodlust, but Winterharte, the hero with the AA build, will be picking up the 5-man team wipe on ReGenPhoenix. Rather, that's a 5-man team wipe against ReGenPhoenix by ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Winterharte, don't get stunned. All right, then. I'm enjoying this series very, very much. I hope you are, too. I hope Winterharte and Linehouse don't get killed here. Kind of going after this boss with relatively limited resources. Crow, come over here and help. All right, I think if... Oh, Winterharte. Oh, my God. Now, I think... Yeah, I mean, clearly they didn't end up dying, but there were just some parts of that where it looked a little close and a little questionable. Winterharte going back in when he actually had less health than Linehouse and tanking the damage on the boss. So this is a pretty strong position. Actually, I'm not sure if it's that strong of a position. I was going to say a strong position for ParsleySnagRosemary&Line, but actually it's not that strong. I mean, the boss is not being pushed alongside with, so they will start burning it down. Of course, there is a curse against them, so they will also start... Aero's actually just scouting things out, but he has to be worried about being killed himself. So yeah, he actually moves back, doesn't want to find himself getting rotated on as 5, but there is the Dragon Arrow. Oh no, Aero, the follow-up is there with the tongue. And I wonder if this could be a potential push for game. It's an ambitious call at this point to say a push for game. They're probably going to see if they can look for more kills, though, because we still have a boss at half health. Okay, does look like they're not even going to attempt it. They will just move out of there, take control of the siege camp. And suddenly things are now actually really looking in favor of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. I mean, the structures are not too different, but of course the main advantage that they have at this point is that they will have level 20 talent here very, very soon. They will have it with enough of a disparity between experience that they will have that advantage for some time. Enough time where they could and should capitalize on it. So they will pick up the Bruiser camp as well. I'm going to say probably the potential game-winning play out of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line would be using level 20 talent tier advantage to steal the boss out from the members of ReGenPhoenix. Of course, though, got to be careful. Bosses are a potential throw pit, so it's also a way that they could potentially throw, especially since they are also kind of weak in that bottom lane as well. So they might not actually want to do that just with the level 20 talent tier advantage. And they're also going to have to wait a little while to do it. So it might be better if they try to, in the 30 seconds that will pass by, they're actually just kind of waiting here. But I would actually think, like, in this time that would pass by, they would want to try to look for a pick on someone, even if it's Aero. I mean, they've been getting the kills on Aero. There we saw the... And unfortunately, for some reason, whenever the Dragon Arrows go out, for some reason, I would blank out on the name. It's not like it's even that hard of a name to remember, just Dragon Arrow. When the Dragon Arrows have gone out, the follow-up has been there from the rest of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. I think probably the most important is the Haka follow-up. Obviously not for the damage, but just really chaining out the CCs. And man, the combination of Greymane as well as Hanzo just means that boss gets burned down so quick. Now, I had posited that before as a potential game-winning play. Oh, Aero actually gets stunned by the level 20 Sonic Arrow from Winterharte. That was kind of funny. I think that was really just meant for the detection, but ends up just hitting him right on the head. Okay, they do decide to pick up the camps. They will push alongside this. We're going to see the Hyperion committed to try to assist the D-push. Wait a minute. Okay, never mind. All right, Groundbreaker does go out. Aero does get stunned. That's a 3-man stun. Oh, my God, the follow-up is absolutely there. Oh, God. I think ParsleySnagRosemary&Line just managed to tie up this series. What an execution on that Dragon Arrow. And the follow-up just there so quickly. Yeah, that is 100% Game 2 going in favor of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Oh, man. So, man, honestly, we do have a great series on our hands. I mean, we're going to a Game 3. Just the fact that we're going to a Game 3 is great. And I feel the momentum of both of these games has actually been great, too, where, I mean, Game 1, it looks like ParsleySnagRosemary&Line, but then ReGenPhoenix kind of made the comeback, and then Game 2 was kind of the opposite, where ReGenPhoenix looked really good in the early game, but the mid-game, they started to falter, and then just in the late game, ParsleySnagRosemary&Line just really just took it to ReGenPhoenix, especially just that last engagement with the Dragon Arrow. I'm even having trouble figuring out what else comes along. Well, there's the Dragon Arrow. Then, of course, Linehouse pops the Bloodlust. Greymane just goes in and just claws things apart. And, I mean, just the follow-up stuns also from Snaginanehs as well as Crow, just making sure that the members of ReGenPhoenix totally have their hands off the keyboard. It's enough about me just somehow improving my way to my job, whether you care or not, because we are actually going to go into our draft for game number 3, what you really came here for. Game number 3, taking place on VOLSKAYA Foundry. Oh, man, you know, if I've got some respect bands that I want to see, I might want to see a respect band on that Redemption Hanzo. Although I think the Hanzo did well, not so much for the auto attacks, but more so for those Dragon Arrow engages in the late game, proving to be highly effective, and the follow-up being there. So let's see what our first ban will be for the members of ReGenPhoenix. It's coming in real slowly. The Areia. Man. Okay. So Crow must... It's hard for me to tell just based on, you know, statistics from this season, but apparently... That must just be a hero that Crow really likes to play, because I'm pretty sure this was Areia banned in all 3 games in this series. So we have more of that choke on the bruisers again. Of course, the Azul ban could just be an unintentional bruiser choke, since Azul is just something that is banned often these days, regardless of whether or not you actually want to choke out bruisers. The Deckard ban again, so just another respect ban on Linehouse. I mean, of course, aside from it being a respect ban on Linehouse, Deckard is also just something like, out of all the healers, his crowd control is also, I feel, some of the most threatening in the game. Kind of alongside Malfurion, but, I mean, Deckard kind of has multiple sources of crowd control. What will this final ban be? Will it be the Johanna ban? That is an interesting one to see. I mean, it is something that Aero does prioritize, but it hasn't been played yet in this series by Aero. It was actually picked up by Snaginanehs. So Areia going to be picking up the Rhaegar. Rhaegar actually having, unless I'm just potatoing and just not remembering things correctly, but I'm pretty sure that means Rhaegar has a 100% participation rate in this series. It was played by Areia twice, and then played by Linehouse in the previous game. Not only does Rhaegar have a 100% participation rate, but at the moment, Rhaegar also has a 100% win rate within this one series. So it could just be whichever team picks Rhaegar wins. But of course, chances are it's not quite so simple. So we will see a new hero picked up, one that hasn't played a role, at least as far as I remember, in this series. I don't think it even took part in the draft. It's going to be the Ana on Linehouse, the Rainer out of ProfBobo. Seems like a pretty standard pick, especially given, you know, kind of what I was saying, comparing the Rainer to the Greymane. Yeah, if anything, although Ooh, so Winterharte does not get to play Redemption this game. If anything, given that, you know, just what I said about how Exterminator is becoming more meta, I feel even when Raynor received his rework, he kind of was responsible for displacing Greymane a bit from the meta. And then I feel like with the changes to both Ace in the Hole as well as Exterminator, because I believe Exterminator was buffed a little, I believe that actually continues to kind of displace Greymane a bit. But, I mean, sometimes Greymane still going to be picked up anyway. A lot of players just comfortable with him. Historically, like, I think back to the times in 2017 where, like, if you watched HGC, DPS players basically had to be Greymane mains. They needed to have a Greymane because, like, if you were a DPS player, you played Greymane. So a lot of people have Greymanes. He is very fundamental. And finally, the Sylvanas will be banned out. I do actually like that ban. If the Sylvanas was banned in Game 2, I would be like, I don't know about that one. I didn't feel like RabidPenguin was actually playing that well on it. But this time, it's banned out. And, because last game, RabidPenguin actually did quite well on the Sylvanas. Of course, RabidPenguin does also already have locked in the Hanzo, but it's also, of course, possible that he could switch with Daribow. So, the Kael'thas in the secondary ban phase. I mean, I guess the idea there is to deny the combination of the Ana and the Kael'thas. Scary combination. Ooh, I like this, though. I do not believe in Uther as a solo healer, but I do believe in him as a main tank. Now, sadly, I didn't comment on this for a while, but Aero picking up that Muradin, I'm afraid that's something I don't really believe in these days. I mean, it's not even that Muradin is terrible, but I just feel like compared to... Oh, God! Okay. There's no way I'm finishing that sentence about Muradin, because that was absolutely not what I would have expected for either one of those last two picks. Jesus Christ. I did not see that coming in a million years. Mephisto picked up for Winterharte. That one doesn't quite get as much of a reaction out of me. Obviously, the Mephisto can certainly put out a lot of damage. Definitely one of those heroes that can top the... Like, if you just press tab and look at the scoreboard, Mephisto is very much someone who can top the damage numbers, and then you can be that person be saying, like, oh, I'm doing so much damage, why aren't you guys doing things? But, I mean, the elephant in the room is the Illidan. And not just the Illidan, but also the Ariel coming along in with it. So, man, this one is also one that would take me a while to really, like, figure out and deliver, like, my full analysis onto it. But, I mean, just Illidan at all is something that is always going to be a big surprise. And, of course, as some people have pointed out, Illidan into the main tank Uther does look a little bit questionable, but we are getting into our game here, so let's just make sure we are getting into that. All right, then. So, ReGenPhoenix. Oh, my God. ReGenPhoenix looking to rise up from the ashes after they're lost in game 2. Aero will be on the Muradin. Areia playing that Areia. RabidPenguin will be on the Hanzo. Daribow on the Ariel. And Snazzy really going to make or break things on that Illidan. Meanwhile, it's going to be ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. We're going to have Winterharte on the Mephisto. Snaginanehs on the Uther. Crow will be playing the Blaze. Linehouse on the Ana. And finally, ProfBobo will be playing the Raynor. So this, I mean, there are just so many things in this draft that are... Like, even just seeing, oh, we're going to have main tank Uther. All right, that's a little bit spicy. But then... I mean, I almost feel like the plan from ReGenPhoenix was to just outspice. They saw the Uther and are like, oh, main tank Uther, that's looking a little spicy. Let's see if we can outspice you right here. We see your main tank Uther and we raise you double support Illidan. So they've definitely been... ParsleySnagRosemary&Line have definitely been outspiced. The question now, though, is will they get outplayed? And that one's definitely a bigger question. Certainly there is a lot of healing coming out of 2 healers on both teams, so it could mean we see very long, protracted fights here that can be inconclusive. And of course, we do have the potential Resurrect coming in from Areia, of course. Maybe that's part of the plan. It's like, oh, let's pick Illidan here. Oh, but they have Uther. Well, I guess maybe they understand that the Illidan might go down and they'll need him to get resurrected. So, rotations going in. Uther, sorry, not Uther, but Illidan will just solo the camp. So, nice there. It does mean that they don't have to commit both a healer and a damage dealer to taking out that camp, whereas here we do see, again, the combination of the healer and the damage dealer committed to taking out that camp. Although perhaps there's not really a big advantage either way. So Aero will be playing Muradin. And again, my personal opinion has just been that over time, Muradin has been slowly power crept on as a main tank to the point where I very much feel like he's like a B or even like a C tier hero. I like him. I actually have played a lot of Muradin to the point where I think he's actually my most played hero, but I still just personally feel that he's just kind of outclassed or doesn't quite cut it compared to a lot of the other tanks. Now, we do see that he is going for that Stormbolt stacking, going to be looking for that late-game damage to use that with the engage potential to delete targets that get hit by Stormbolt, since they will take more damage. And we even see the way that Aero is playing, where he is looking, he's kind of hiding out in the bushes, where he's looking to stack Stormbolts. So, it turns out Areia will actually be the solo laner, at least for the moment. Which actually does make sense, since we do see Snazzy here committing to get the Siege Camp. Meanwhile, Siege Camp on the other side will be picked up by ProfBobo and Linehouse. Yeah, I mean, the Illidan is something that it's very much something where my honest opinion is that I don't really believe in it, and like, if I had to take a look at these drafts, who do I feel has the stronger draft? I would 100% say that I like the draft out of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line better. They've got the hard CC to deal with the Illidan. They've got the Ana who can deny the heals from the double healers. They have the double heals themselves, so they can kind of keep up in healing. They're providing armor through the Uther. And then another big thing is going to be that Blaze. Like, once he gets the bunker, I feel like the bunker is something where it's like, if anyone is in trouble from the Illidan, I feel like the bunker just goes down, and I feel like they stop caring. Okay, so item advantage is in favor of ReGenPhoenix. However, they do have this healing camp, so they can put that down rather soon, but that can also potentially be denied from a good biotic grenade from Linehouse, and that is why we do see a full biotic grenade build out of Linehouse. So fight has been indecisive so far, just a lot of healing back and forth. Snaginanehs starting to get low. Daribow is going to put out a heal, misses Areia, so Areia is a little bit low, half health. And this is a double support team fight. Okay, we're starting to see members of ReGenPhoenix get low, but that just feels like what I'm just going to say every few minutes. Oh, this person's low, but no one's actually dying. Now it's Aero who gets super low, but Aero is Muradin, so he jumps out. Snazzy does actually manage to complete a kill, and it's Blaze of all people who does go down. Winterharte trying to see if he can get something done. And the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line are still here, still trying to fight it out. Now, clearly, I've made it known how I personally feel that the draft, how I like the draft better of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line, but perhaps we start thinking of, silver linings and maybe what are things that I've missed. If there is something that I've missed, I do think that the sustained healing out of ReGenPhoenix is better because of the combination of the Oriole and the Rhaegar, whereas the sustained healing from ParsleySnagRosemary&Line primarily comes out of the Ana, since Uther a little bit low in terms of his healing throughput. Another one of the nice things about this draft out of ReGenPhoenix is that they do have quite a bit of siege potential, given that, of course, if they get an objective, they don't put the Illidan in it. Instead, the Illidan is part of the push. All right, then. So they're not getting much more out of this, but they are closer to level 10, so they will briefly have level 10 talent tier advantage. And my guess, and what I'd like to see, is they probably take advantage of that to get the healing camp. They'll get level 10 momentarily, and it looks like they're already kind of positioning for the healing camp. Just need Illidan. Illidan's going to have to take a little bit of time finishing this off, so I don't know if they'll be able to rotate in time to secure that healing camp before the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line get even up in level. But here is the engage. We did see an Aero come out. There is also the Bloodlust, but here is Blaze on the back line. It's not actually going to be a revive, but Uther will be killed. I think that was a hunt that I missed fully, or I did not catch all of it. So rather unfortunate that I missed that, but kind of hard to catch. I think that was an Uther who had just gotten out at really low health, and then Snazzy chased after him with the hunt. So they don't have level 10 talent tier advantage anymore, but they do know that Uther is dead and is only just recently respawning, so the invade potential isn't really all here. They will have the item advantage, so ReGenPhoenix looking strong again, proving me wrong about just my predictions about what I think about these teams, as well as potentially what I think about these drafts. And certainly if you're just joining up, man, for our third game, we certainly have quite a spicy draft. Aero just looking here. I mean, he's probably just... I literally think he's looking here just for Stormbolt stacks. Like, he's looking to see if he can catch someone rotating and just get a Stormbolt stack. I don't even think it's about getting a kill. Okay, Hanzo will be committed to getting the camp. At this point, I was going to say, if Snazzy was going to get it, then I feel like RabidPenguin should move out of there. But instead, it's Snazzy who moves out of there and rejoins the 4-man. Or just rejoins the rotation. All right, then. Waves will be cleared. Blaze is in the bottom, certainly just trying to catch up in soak since the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line are low on soak. They're looking to see if they can catch Blaze here. I don't think they can. Can they really complete this kill? Nope, bunker is in, and with that bunker, they will not be able to secure the kill. I actually really like the attempt there. I think it was a little bit slow. I think if the hunt had come a little bit earlier, I think there was potential there to actually secure the kill on Blaze. It's actually really tough with the bunker coming in, because they would really need to burst him down, and eventually he would be able to actually press buttons and throw down the bunker. And as long as he has the bunker, he has a pretty good chance of surviving. Okay, but with the push pressure, certainly they're getting just a lot of push pressure with this Illidan. They will take down the bottom towers. They'll have an item advantage yet again, because I think they're still just holding on to an item that they already had the last time I pointed out that they had an item advantage, but now they're actually going to be using it at the objective. So the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line will pick up their turret camp. I wonder, if anything, I was wondering, could they even pick up the turret camp from ReGenPhoenix? So it doesn't look like they will bother with that. I feel like they had the time. So instead, the members of ReGenPhoenix will be rotating out of here. It will just be only Aero holding this for as long as he can get some percentage on it. And I was going to say he'll probably just Dwarf Toss out of there when he looks like he's being threatened, but it turns out it wasn't even necessary. So Areia will be picking up the turret camp for ReGenPhoenix. And wow. I mean, I'm actually starting to like the Illidan pick more and more, because it's just kind of the way this map works, where you can afford to sometimes give up percentage, and sometimes that's part of the strategy. Get what percentage you can, and then the re-engage potential. Oh, the Dragon Arrow misses because Snaginanehs does actually activate Divine Shield. Okay, Winterharte is unstoppable, but we have Snaginanehs really low. He gets inside the bunker, but now Snazzy is really low. Winterharte is too far away from the bunker, and he does end up going down. So both Winterharte and Snaginanehs will go down. They will trade out a kill on Daribow, but, I mean, it's 2-1 in favor of ReGenPhoenix. RabidPenguin, though, unfortunately overstays his welcome, and it ends up being traded 2-2. So that will be objective picked up by ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Members of ReGenPhoenix deciding not to go for any sort of re-engage right there. And we also see respawns coming in. for the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Triglob Protector is already pushing, however. It is going to be taking some damage at the moment, though. So Snaginanehs is looking to provide some support alongside of it. We do see Crow is actually trying to slow down the push by Areia. So we should see this top fort taken for ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Snazzy trying to delay things, but it will not be enough to save that fort. Meanwhile, Areia will be moving through the lanes. It is actually very interesting here where, if anything, we actually, the lane coverage by ReGenPhoenix is very interesting in this game. In a way, it almost doesn't even really feel like they have a dedicated solo laner, and it feels like it's more like Snazzy and Areia who are kind of trading off that responsibility. Areia, strangely, just as a healer, as Rhaegar, is the closest thing you can probably get to a solo laner, since he does have both good wave clear, and of course, since he's a healer, he can sustain himself. And at this point, seems like the Triglob Protector just trying to see whatever spell damage it can get out from those abilities on the towers with just a minuscule amount of health and time left on it. Wow, they're actually just starting this up right now. I mean, they're starting this up just raw. There's no advantage. This is just going to be a 5-on-5 team fight. Hunt goes in on Ana. Where's the follow-up? She will be cleansed, but it's just a massive things going on right here. Someone is really low, but does get stasis. It is actually the Illidan. Gets super low, but does get stasis, and eventually he will get out of there, but not alive. He'll get out of the Crystal Aegis. Aero getting super low. I don't think Aero makes it out of here alive. Okay, they won't focus on Aero. Instead, they'll focus on RabidPenguin. Then maybe see if they can pick up Aero anyway. And indeed, they will. My. I was actually surprised that final shot took out Muradin from Raynor. I might have just missed something right there. Oh, no. Areia. I don't know about this one. I mean, Areia is just going to have to give that up. There's really no choice. Of course, if anything, important to give that up and not risk dying. Our game is still looking very, very even here. Okay, Linehouse. I think Linehouse will eventually need some help with this. All right, Snaginanehs does decide to join him. So does ProfBobo. Meanwhile, it's going to be Blaze soloing the camp by himself. I guess he's not too bad at that. He does have, what is his level 7 talent? It's Crossfire, of course. A lot of you probably saying, like, what else would it be? But I just wanted to check to make sure. In part because, I mean, of course, he can use that to also clear out the camp faster if you make sure he gets those Crossfire procs, especially if you can get the Crossfire procs on 2 of those camp models. But I wanted to just check and see if he had Incinerator Gauntlets. I'm glad he doesn't. All right, then. So, no talent tier advantage, but we do have a slight advantage in levels. Actually, that advantage in levels won't be for very long. Aero, literally looking for more stacks. I mean, on the one hand, he wants to just finish out his baseline quest as well. Perfect Storm, I don't know if he's got a great amount of Perfect Storm value just yet. But he's going to get some Perfect Storm value there, as well as getting close to finishing his baseline quest. Kills are pretty even at 4v5. And Aero is probably looking for more Stormbolt stacks here. Winterharte is now the one with the healing camp, however, so that should mean the item advantage this time, for once, will be in favor of the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. All right, bottom beacon is up. Snaginanehs trying to get it captured, but Aero will be there to contest it, so it's not captured in either direction. Does look like Snaginanehs as well as ParsleySnagRosemary&Line content to give up some percentage, however, they are giving it up to Aero. As we do see members of ReGenPhoenix will eventually, though, Areia potentially out of position. Now it's actually Daribow who's potentially in a bad position. Snazzy there, though, down to about half of his hit points. And for some reason, we're going to have a team fight in the middle before 20 talent tier. That is the important part, though. Daribow is really low, though. Doesn't have the time to throw a Crystal Aegis on himself. So that was kind of exactly the pick they needed. Keeping Daribow stun locked, was not able to get the Crystal Aegis off on himself. So it will be ParsleySnagRosemary&Line picking up the level 20. They will pick up level 20 talent tier. They'll use that level 20 talent tier as well as that kill to pick up the healing camp, and they'll actually start getting percentage on the objective. So it's been a very even game so far, an even series so far. But at the moment, we definitely have the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line in the advantage. It's not a big advantage. But we'll see what they can do with it. We'll also see what members of ReGenPhoenix can do in the meantime. So that Illidan, of course, it does seem like just a big part of the way they're playing. That Illidan does give them the ability to get value elsewhere on the map when they can't get the objective. Aero's getting super low, though. Has to use Avatar just to ensure that he doesn't end up dying. Oh, but Winterharte does not connect with the Durance of Hate. Dodged by all members of ReGenPhoenix, so that will go on cooldown. Not exactly a long cooldown, but nevertheless, it was something that, I mean, could have resulted in a kill or two there. So luckily for them, it did not. So this Striglop Protector still has quite a way to go. It still has to make its way through a bottom fort and eventually a keep. Certainly it will pick up the bottom fort. Let's also see what the defense is going to look like. Not a lot of damage has been put on this Striglop Protector yet. We haven't seen Illidan commit to anything yet. I think at some point they're probably looking for the Aero angle into the hunt, as well as just whatever else is going to go down. Haven't seen it yet. Okay, it doesn't look like they're actually trying to commit that. Maybe they're going to wait until the Striglop Protector is burned down, and then they can chase after it. No, they're not going to wait. The Aero finally does go down. They do catch someone there. It is ProfBobo. He's unstoppable, and he's staying alive somehow, but not for long. But the kill is traded out onto RabidPenguin. More kills are coming in. This time, it will be Areia who will be taken out. More of the kills are going in favor of the members of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line, however. They get the better end of the re-engage. Oh, no, and Daribow is gone, too. Unfortunately for him, I think there's a decent chance that that could mean game here. Now, we got to take a look. The siege damage on the side of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line, given the fact that they don't have Raynor with them, is not great. But there's also just not a whole lot that we see from ReGenPhoenix that can defend against it. I mean, they've only got Murden. Shields are gone now. Yeah, we still have 23 seconds is the shortest cooldown that will definitely be the game eventually finished in favor of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line. Anna getting stunned and pushed away. Aero just getting a few more Stormbolt stacks before the game is over. And that was actually a rather decisive end to Game 2 there. Quick team fights at the end despite the double support composition. So, well, our series is over. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it. We don't have too much left. I will see if maybe we can get a member of ParsleySnagRosemary&Line in for an interview.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, we got... So, actually, first question, how do you say your name? I was saying it as, I sounded it out to be Snaginanehs. Was I right?
I mean, it's kind of like anybody's guess, and whatever you want it to be, but I say Snaginanehs.
Okay, that's...
So it's like more of an inflection on the "es," I guess. I don't know.
I was just pretty phonetic, like just going through the syllables. So, I mean, that ultimately ended up being a very close series. Just tell us, how did you feel about that series? How did you feel kind of about how your opponents played, and how did you end up kind of bringing out the victory in the end?
It was pretty close. I mean, we had ideas coming into it that were, I think, paid off very well. And like even after the first game and the second game, we just reset, keep it cool, and just make sure that we kept saying in comms like what our plan was, and making sure that kept us on the right track.
And what did you think? I mean, I think I'm trying to remember the draft order, but the Illidan and the Oriole did come last. What did you think of their draft? Was that what you were expecting?
We weren't expecting the Illidan, but we honestly were like, okay, that's perfect for us because we had already picked Uther and we had Blaze. So we had Bunker, Stun, Divine Shield for Hunt, whatever they wanted. So we're like, all right, cool, thanks.
All right, then. And so far, based on what research I've done, each of your series so far has gone to game number 3.
Yeah.
How do you guys just... you talked a little bit about this, but how do you guys kind of compose yourself mentally when you know you're going into a game 3?
So this crew is known for never having a domination. So we always lose the first game. So we've come to terms with it. We know that first game's loss, and all right, on to the next one. Time to win. So
Yeah.
it's even like past seasons. I don't think we rarely get dominations for some reason. We just have first game jitters.
Someone in the chat did even point out it's not a Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line.
Yeah.
Without going to game 3. How many seasons have you guys been participating in Heroes Lounge? In NGS as a team?
In NGS, that's probably a good question. I don't know about, like, the full history is pretty weird. Me and Linehouse, I think I've been in here for, I guess, 3 seasons. I want to say 3. Bobo and Crow were in an early season. We've had mix and match of different people, but and we played in Heroes Lounge twice, I believe. So, and it's always been a different crew for pretty much every season. I think this is the first time that we've been, like, original crew was with the 4 of us, and then we added Winter, and I don't think the 4 of us have been in a team since probably a year ago, 3 seasons ago.
All right, and I also kind of, this is something I guess doesn't have to do specifically with the game, but I have to ask just a little bit more about the name. I've honestly just enjoyed saying the name so much tonight. Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. And I do see that there are 2 team players, like, names in the name. So just what are the origins of that name?
So we like to make a lot of memes. Our Discord is probably the best Discord because of how many memes we have. And with the, Simon and Garfunkel, somebody came up with it. I think it was Bobo came up with it, and it just fit so perfectly. Snaggle, like, we on our logo, we have Snaggle and Linefunkel, and I actually supposed to be playing, Scarberry Fair in the background, but I don't know how to set all that up. So it just rung together so well, and it kind of just hit with whenever Bobo made it up. I think it was Bobo. It might have been Crow, but
yeah, it almost has like sort of like a poetic quality where
it does.
The rhythm of it, where I've just enjoyed saying it so much. Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line. I've just enjoyed it so much tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think our names just fit in so well. Like, I mean, Sage, Snag, Line. So I mean, it's perfect.
And just a few more questions. Just gonna ask, what teams are you looking forward to playing this season?
I think we're definitely looking into Team Happy Cloud, which we play next week, and Beast Coast and Insomnia. Or at least I am. I don't know what the rest of the team is doing. I think right now, with the standings that we know, Team Happy Cloud, Beast Coast, and Insomnia are probably definitely top playoff, the ones to beat.
Yeah, I definitely saw Beast Coast as being higher up in the standings. Of course, we're still pretty early in the season, so standings obviously could stand to change quite a bit, and it's hard to.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, it's only second week.
And I think just the last thing I'm going to say before we kind of close up this interview, just going to give the floor to you for any comments or shout-outs that you would like to make.
I mean, obviously, we're going to have to shout out the Beatbox. We got a lot of fans in there. We're going to create our sister teams for next season, create the Beatbox League. But no, it's good. Shout out to ReGenPhoenix. Me and Lion played against them with another crew last season in both B East, and we both moved up to A East this season. So it's fun to play them again. Obviously, shout out to you for picking up the cast. It's always a lot more fun to be able to rewatch it. And I think that's it.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a very good series tonight. In fact, out of, I think, all the ones I cast so far, the first one that was actually like really even. And just congratulations, of course, on your victory.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks.
All right. Thank you and good night.